Most processes and actions in a proof of justice-based system require specifically choosing an entity from a range of entities determined in a specific manner. This is done as a security measure so that one entity can't always choose to maliciously interact with the same other ones for one or more actions. As such, the entity selection process is often done to choose one or more entities who have a right to a given role. The first step for performing an entity selection is obtaining the preselection data. The preselection data usually comprises two things: a relevance score distribution of the entities in the system, and the Peterson of the entity performing the selection. The Peterson is obtained using the Peterson generation process explained in the previous video. The relevance score distribution can vary a lot depending on how proof of justice is set up. If it uses the levels and experience system, the relevance score distribution might be the entity's level of the role our first entity is interested in selecting. On the other hand, if proof of justice uses a single score per entity, then the whole score distribution would be obtained, and a subset of it would be extracted, wherein all entities within this subset would need to be associated with the relevant role. This subset would then be used for the next steps, instead of the whole relevance score distribution. The next step is to process the relevant score distribution to determine the group of entities to select from. Firstly, it is separated into multiple groups, which are then shuffled using the previously generated Peterson as a randomization seed. This is to ensure that the groups of entities in the relevant score distribution are randomized, limiting the selecting of the same entities. Next, the first group is selected from the shuffled groups, and from this first group, our entity which performed the selection can then choose any entity from that group to perform the role. Various adjustments can be done to the entity selection process according to the implementation of proof of justice. For example, based on the situation, it might be the case that multiple entities are needed to fill a given role, in which case the entity selection process would be repeated until the required number of entities have been selected. Additionally, the process for selecting a group from the shuffled groups can also be adjusted. BB Inventions, high-tech research for curious minds.